You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Let's go! Hey! Walking through a wasteland, unlooking skies.
Welcome back to the Valley Labor Report. This is Alabama's only union labor radio show. We are here preaching the gospel of solidarity.
Working class kicking ass.
That's right. That's right. I think we're allowed to say that. I'm not sure. If not, then please send those complaints to Jacob Morrison. Since he's not here today, he can get the complaints. So, as promised, I wanted to share with everyone what's happening across the country, particularly in the Southeast, with unions. And as you know, those of you who've been listening lately, we get this from Jonah Furman. He's a great writer, an organizer, and he puts out Who Gets the Bird. Ends up in your inbox every Thursday to Friday. Please subscribe. Please, if you can, donate to him as well. He is doing something really cool, which is monitoring anything and everything that's happening with the National Labor Relations Board and virtually anything else he can find happening in the world of labor. So this starts with some new organizing here in the South. There are 17 workers with AmeriGas Propane in Brooksville, Florida, organizing with Teamsters Local 79. We have 11 HVAC technicians with Vulcan Heating right here in Madison, Alabama, unionizing with UA Local 760.
And who is UA Local 760?
That's the plumbers. And
okay, that's plumbers. Okay, so they just call them, what is UA?
You know, I've been wondering that myself.
I seen that I think it was Thursday night it come out, and I was like, who in the world is UA? Maybe that's the plumbers and pipe fitters, but...
that one confused me as well, but those are the plumbers and pipe fitters out of Muscle Shoals area, I believe, is local 760.
Okay.
So,
cool. Well, good on them.
Yeah,
if y'all are listening, great job, brothers and sisters.
Organizing. There are 9 workers for steel and aluminum products company EMJ Metals in Orlando, Florida, who are organizing with the steel workers. While this one's not in the South, I thought it was kind of funny. 8 bud tenders at a weed dispensary in Seattle are organizing with UFCW Local 21. So good on them.
There's been a lot of that in the last year. Most of them has been going with the Teamsters, but, good to see UFCW coming in there.
Yeah, absolutely. 39 case managers for healthcare contractor Comprehensive Health Services in El Paso, Texas, voted 11-7 to join Operating Engineers Local 351. That was a win. Unfortunately, there was also a loss here in the South. 19 workers at airbag manufacturer Dacel in Beaver Dam, Kentucky, voted 5-13 against joining UA Local 633. Moving on, there are quite a few strike actions that I'm going to get back to here in just a second. But in terms of some internal union politics, we talked with grad school workers recently. There's an update on that front, but at Columbia, the Columbia University Grad Worker Unit of UAW Local 2110 has elected a new bargaining committee. And that is part of a fallout from their long strike. That's part of the long fallout from their strike effort this spring. It appears that the group that opposed the strike settlement and helped organize the no vote on the tentative agreement swept the elections. They promptly renamed themselves the Student Workers of Columbia, which indicates that they are looking to bring undergrad student workers into the union as well. The National Education Association held their annual meeting and representative assembly this past week. Not a lot came out about that one. The NEA representative assembly is actually considered to be the largest democratic deliberative body in the world. In other words, it is the largest group of folks in one room voting on stuff.
Yeah.
And I served as an NEA delegate, and it was really an amazing experience. No matter what union you belong to, I so encourage you to run as a delegate. And if you can attend your state or national assembly convention, whatever y'all call it, it is a eye-opening experience to learn more about your union. It's an eye-opening experience to see the diversity of your union. And maybe most importantly, it just builds a lot of relationships and connections. So to all of our union members who are listening, if you haven't run for delegate yet, we expect you to run in your next election.
Yeah.
And if you're a little bit on the fence about it, feel free to reach out to us, because I've served as a national delegate. David, I believe you have as well. I believe Jacob has as well. So we have experience in that, and it's a great thing to do.
It's important for the democratic functioning of your union as well. I mean, it is the utmost importance for people to be involved and be pushing democracy in the union, and not just sitting back and letting the union, as many people like to refer to it, run things.
Right.
The workers should run things.
And that's something we hear about a lot, the union being treated as a third party. But unions are democratic organizations. But like any democracy, it's only as healthy as its participants.
Yeah.
So if you sit back and let it, yes, a union can start to resemble a third party. Those people over there or up there that you call on occasionally. But it's really up to members, the rank and file, to hold the leaders' feet to the fire and to actually participate and drive the direction of your union. And that's what they do at these national assemblies, is vote on resolutions and platforms and constitutions. So moving back to some of the strike and bargaining activities happening across the country. As I mentioned, there was some pretty disturbing news that there has been more violence at the picket line in Brookwood, Alabama.
Unsurprisingly.
Unfortunately, not surprising. This is, if you've been paying attention, this has happened quite a bit, unfortunately, where you have, in some cases, scabs, in some cases, people in management who are literally driving their vehicles into a picket line full of people, including women and children.
Yeah.
And we have had UMWA brothers and sisters hurt down there on the picket line. And it's reprehensible. And I just don't have much I can say on FM radio about that.
Well, they're going to New York to picket this upcoming Wednesday from 9 a.m. Eastern until noon. So any of our sisters, brothers, and comrades that may be in New York listening to the show, if you got the opportunity, go out and picket with them. I heard Kim's going to be out there covering it, so you can meet her, have an opportunity to meet her. She's awesome. Labor reporter, one of the very last of the true labor reporters. So yeah, get up there and show your support.
Yeah. That protest is going to be at BlackRock, and BlackRock is one of these nefarious hedge funds that is one of the major backers of Warrior Met, among other things.
Yeah.
Pretty much anywhere you look, it seems BlackRock has their dirty fingers in it. So shout out to our miner brothers and sisters going up to New York to picket. For more information on that, I know we've plugged it before, but definitely follow Kim Kelly, that David just mentioned, at Grim Kim. And she has been collaborating with the Real News Network.
Max.
And our friend Max Alvarez. They have done a video series. The latest episode is about the Miners Auxiliary, the miners' wives, who are hellraisers and just real heroes, in my opinion, about what they are doing to keep the line going. So check that out if you haven't already.
The Real News Network is another one of those media outlets that's really turning a corner and starting to do a lot of great coverage.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It's a struggling media outlet, just like most of them are. So Max, a friend of our show, been on several times. He's kind of bringing new light to it, but it's also to me it appears that they've taken a new direction in covering more organized labor and working class issues since he's come on board. And I think anytime media is covering issues that's close to our heart, we need to be supporting.
Absolutely. If you're not familiar, Max is also working with In These Times magazine in a collaboration with Real News to put out Working People, which is a podcast about working people. Imagine that. Actually talking to regular working folks. Not something that happens in the media very often. So, one of the things we like to do in this show is promote people who are doing good work. And that's what that's all about. In terms of people doing good work, we have some nurses up in Massachusetts who have been on the line for months now. The St. Vincent Hospital, Massachusetts Nurse Association, that strike has become really a rallying point for all of labor. There was a recent conference call where they really tried to rally the troops and get all of the labor movement behind them. I know that Sarah Nelson and other national labor figures have started promoting the cause, and the strike is at its 18-week mark. So that's quite a long time to be on strike. After 3 months,
Volvo actually voted Thursday night.
So originally I was going to tell you there weren't much updates on Volvo, but breaking news that yes, there is an update. So the Volvo truck strike in Dublin, Virginia had yet another tentative agreement put out, and I believe this is the third time in a row that TA was voted down resoundingly by the rank and file membership of UAW Local 2069. So, usually when you see something like that, that tells you one, if not two things. Usually indicates the company has dug their heels in and they're not giving much ground. It may also indicate that, the bargaining committee is not necessarily putting out something that the rank and file wants. For whatever reason, whether that is company obstruction or anything else. So, I'm not in a position to comment on that case specifically, but, shout out to those workers who have maintained their strike and are determined to get an agreement that they actually can believe in.
Yeah, well, I mean, and, to the bargaining committee's defense, there is a lot of times serving on the bargaining committee numerous occasions in my life. It's a thankless job. And many times your arm is being twisted by other people. So... for all the great things that unions do, they do like to keep workers on the job because that's their livelihood, especially your non-rank and file officials. That's how they earn their living, is through our dues, and they don't like for us to be on strike. Simple as that. So, the bargaining committee may be having their arms twisted a little bit in the back rooms, but if they're anything like our bargaining committee, they're coming out and talking to people on the floor saying absolutely reject this contract.
Right.
No matter what.
See, that also happens a lot where the bargaining committee comes out with an agreement and they know it sucks and they'll tell you straight up it sucks. But it's the agreement that could get hammered out at the table that they have an obligation to present to the membership.
Yeah. And in many cases, I can tell you on the last contract that we came out of, a substantial bonus was tied to us recommending the contract. So it was an $8,000 bonus if we recommended the contract. If we did not recommend the contract, it was no bonus. And so you come out and you say, we recommend this contract based on the $8,000 bonus, and then you walk down after you've left the podium and tell everyone, personally, I would never vote for this contract a day of my life.
Right.
You have a responsibility to do what's in the membership's best interest, and leaving $8,000 on the table is certainly not in the membership's best interest, but there's other ways of handling that as well. When you act as a bargaining committee, you do what's in the best interest of the membership, and when you walk away, you tell them what you actually think about that contract.
Yeah, and I think that's why what you mentioned earlier about internal democracy in your union and being engaged, that's why that's so important. And that also harkens back to our interview with those Teamster brothers and what they are trying to do to have a more democratic union. Continuing on, there's not too far from here in Tullahoma, Tennessee, hundreds of metal trades workers at Arnold Air Force Base went on strike. That's the first time they've been on strike since 1990. While this is a little outside the South, over in Topeka, Kansas, around 600 Frito-Lay workers have gone on strike. And that's the first time they've been on strike in that factory since it unionized in the 1970s.
Yeah.
So that...
Everybody's pissed off.
Yeah, imagine that. People
We just
are
come
pissed.
out a year and a half.
We are pretty tired of being screwed over and proud to see many of our brothers and sisters standing up and fighting back.
Yeah.
The months-long lockout at Exxon Mobil in Beaumont, Texas, is continuing to drag on with USW Local 13243. They've been meeting with the company but making no progress. And so that's a little bit about some of the strike activities that are happening across the country, especially here in the South. And part of the reason we share that with you is, for one thing, you're not going to hear it from other news. But the other thing is to maybe give you a little inspiration. In some of these cases, it's a dozen workers or less. No matter where you work, no matter what your industry, if you work for a living, if you sell your labor, you can organize.
Yeah.
And if you can organize, you can have a union. And if necessary and when necessary, you can go on strike and fight back too.
It's amazing how many people think that I can't get a union here.
We'll come back.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
My name is Dr. Zach Hayden, and I am the Executive Director of the Automotive Free Clinic. I hold a PhD from Berkeley and 2 Automotive Service Excellence certifications. The Automotive Free Clinic is a 501c3 nonprofit shop in Prattville, Alabama, and I have 7 years of experience in the automotive field. We began as a pandemic project in March of 2020 with a dream of providing free and low-cost automotive repair to disadvantaged people. Our shop works by providing parts to community members at commercial cost, and labor is on a pay-what-you-can basis. Our shop was a mobile repair shop for approximately 1 year. During that time, we repaired almost 70 vehicles and gave away 2 vehicles to needy community members. We need your help to continue providing this service. Our staff of about 12 are all volunteers, including 2 technicians, but we do have overhead, including shop rent, insurance, service manuals, tools, and utilities. To make a donation, please visit automotivefreeclinic.org. Thank you.
If you want to see what we are up to throughout the week, get our snide quips about the news of the day, then follow us on social media, facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report, Twitter @Labor Reporters. You can find Jacob @JacobMAL. If you missed part of the show and you want to go back and watch it later, search YouTube for the Valley Labor Report. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there. And we also clip segments throughout the week. We upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps, so check your platform of choice and see if we're on there. You can check out the valleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We have a website where you can buy our hats and stickers at thevalleylaborreport.org. If you appreciate our work and want to keep us on the air, consider throwing us a couple bucks a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report. And finally, I want to remind our listeners that Labor Notes and the Teamsters for Democratic Union office was subjected to a major flood recently, and they had quite a bit of damage in the office, lost a lot of books, a lot of materials. So if you are so inclined, we'd love for you to contribute to that cause. Go check out Labor Notes on social media to find out how to donate.